Hey Jess, it's Katelyn. Please do not apologize for sending more than 3 pictures. It really doesn't bother me at all. Not at all. So I hope you're having a good week, and let's get started. I have several pictures that end up as beautiful accidents, so you're not alone there. And I think looking at this picture, part of the reason you may not love the black and white is because her eye sockets are extremely heavy and the highlights are really harsh. So that might be something. Another thing is, composition wise, it probably would have been a little bit better if their heads were in this quadrant up here a little bit. And her dress filled in the rest, maybe even a little bit more like this. You might like that a little better. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too picky. So I would tone down the highlights a little, and then I would lighten up the darks because the darks can get really heavy really fast, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't like this, and I don't know why. So hopefully that's helpful, because I still think there's enough pop here without having those dark, dark, dark things. So something else is there's a little bit of brown in this image. I know you probably can't tell. I'm just weird about that stuff. There's a little bit of brown in it, and for you, maybe that's fine. For me, I have to pay attention to that because I want all my black and whites to be exactly the same. So that can come sometime from split toning, like if you adjust the tones at all. That can change the color of the black and white, but I think it's fine just as far as coloring goes. I think really the only problem was this dark area over here. So let's compare to what we had really quick. And okay, so that's what we had before, and you said it was driving you crazy a little bit. And so let's compare. So here I just cropped in a little bit so it didn't look like it was an accident because this is kind of a lot of negative space above their heads. So I cropped it in, and I really, really like this because you can see her eyes a little bit better, and it looks like better lighting overall. So I hope that's helpful, and so yeah, let's move on. That's a great image. It's beautiful. Her dress makes really great composition over here. I'd maybe crop it in even more, just a little bit. So I just would watch your darks here. For this one, I would be very, very careful about your vibrance. And I just say that because the first thing I noticed in this picture was that her dress doesn't look white, it looks bluish, purplish. And that's just because the vibrance or the saturation of the blues, I can't tell which one, is really, really high. And I know that brings really cool, like the blue back here looks really pretty, but his hair becomes blue right here, and all the shadows of her dress become blue. And I know her dress wasn't blue because I mean, what bride would have a blue dress? So I'm just going to take your blues down, and I'm also going to take your saturation down just a little bit. Now, obviously, I'm not editing this raw, so the colors aren't going to look that great. But to me, this looks more realistic. And if you ever have something that looks too yellowy or too green, sometimes you can come down here and just make a little adjustment to the green primary. This takes the yellow out of the green. I don't know if that makes sense. So that looks more like film because film shoots yellow that way. I hope that's helpful. I don't know. But sometimes I do that if I don't want it to be too intense. So this is still a beautiful image. It's a little bit cold, just a little bit. So I'm going to adjust the highlight color just a little. Just a little. And maybe the shadows just a little. Okay. As far as shooting and location goes, you're right. This line makes it really hard because your camera's trying to expose for this. And if you expose for this, their faces are going to be dark because they're not in. The line comes right here. So what I would have done is taken their bodies and put them right here because you would be shooting, you could have shot and cropped in right here and just had, like, hold on, I'll show you. You could have had just this grass in your image, and that would have, I think this grass is what's throwing you off because it's a total different light situation than this grass, and this grass is a more favorable lighting situation because the light is diffused and it's coming through this tree. So diffused light on bright days is much better. So obviously you can't go back and reshoot this, but if you wanted to, help yourself out a little bit, and this is a beautiful image, so don't be too hard on yourself. I'm sure they love this, but we're just being picky because we want you to get better and better. I would crop it more like that so that this isn't a huge distraction over here. So we could crop it a little bit. Maybe that's a little bit tight, I don't know, but I think it's still great. And we could use the fill light a little bit more. and darken the shadows maybe. I don't know. Let's see what we've done here. And we're going to reset, and let's take a look side by side. Okay, so now is a good time to just really see the vibrance thing that's happening. So if you compare her dress here to her dress there, and his head and all the shadows around here, it just looks warmer, and that just comes from overdoing it with the color aspect of the image. So I know you want colorful images and I know you want them to pop, but that comes more with understanding your lighting and getting a poppy image in camera. Instead of adding color outside of the camera. So I think it's fine to make things more vibrant. Just make sure you're not making things look fake, because blue dresses, it's very noticeable, when you edit that way. And so, and the only reason I know this, Jess, is because I used to edit this way. So I totally get it, and I totally understand. So to me, this looks more natural. We changed a little bit of the tones to make it a little bit warmer, and I think it's a beautiful image, so don't be hard on yourself. Let's go to the next one. So this is hard. If I was shooting the bridal details, I would have actually taken them to a window. So if I was in this situation, I would have taken, like, maybe taken this chair with all the bridal details, and I would have set it outside on a porch next to a window in the lobby. I don't know where you were here, but there's got to be a window somewhere. So I would have done that, and I think if the bride would have let you do that, that would have been your best option. And this image is gorgeous. I think this is great. The composition is great. There's a little bit of a green tint, so I'm going to pull up the magenta tones just a little bit. Hold on. Just a little. And I'm going to take the greens down, actually. And a little bit of the yellow. Just to get, there's a little bit of a green tint here, here, and here. So let me see if I can show you what I just did. Let's reset. Okay. Here we go. So I hope you can see on your screen. Do you see the green tint right here and right there and kind of overall? All I did was up the magenta tint just a little bit here to 12. And then I took down the green in the image a lot, like -68. And that doesn't hurt anything because there's not much green here. It's just a tint of green. So that looks a little bit more realistic, and it will print a lot better than that image. So I totally understand. This is probably with flash, I'm assuming. I think your best bet would have been taking this necklace and taking these shoes and this chair and just finding a window, even if it's a window in the bathroom. I don't care. Just finding some natural light, some directional light, and throwing the necklace on the shoes and shooting a macro shot. Because if you are trying to put this image and the shoe image in an album spread, they're just not going to flow. But if you take a shoe shot like this and then have the necklace, really close up macro shot of the necklace falling over the shoe, then those side-by-side shots in the album are going to flow together really, really nicely. So I try to shoot all your details in a similar location with similar lighting and similar color. This is a little overexposed, just a little. And I look at this. That's the first place I look, is right here for some reason. And that's not the focus. The focus is on that. So if you were to shoot this over again, it may be beneficial to just make it a little bit more obvious where the focus lies. You know? Like that to me looks like a better image just because I know the focus is here and I'm not distracted by the rest of the image. So, but obviously it's not great to crop like that. That's something you need to change in the way you're shooting. Here, I think it's great. I mean, you can't do but so much in here. And it's a barn, so if your flash was going off, it was probably reflecting kind of orange light, which is hard too. This table makes it hard. So if I were you, I would have found, a window somewhere and taken all the details out that way. Same thing for here. There's a lot of green in this as well. So I'm just going to take this image, copy the settings, and paste it on here. And I think we might even need more help with this one just because there's more shadows. So I'm going to take the green down. So maybe that's a little bit better. I'm not really sure. So I think, yeah, if your bride's getting ready, obviously you can't take her out there. So I think what you did was the best possible option. But if ever possible, I just tell brides, if you want what you can see on my website, all of my brides normally find a window with light, and so I just want to make you aware that your getting ready pictures are not going to look like what you see on my website or my blog, because you don't have a window. And just see how they respond to that. And some brides will be like, "Oh, that's okay, I don't care," and then some brides are like, "Oh no, we'll find a window." So I think educating them is a really important part of the process. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you have an amazing Christmas with your family and a happy New Year. And I'll look at your images next week. Bye.